are, Jalen Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We get the people what they want.
Jalen, we have an update on Aaron Rodgers. We have so much playoff basketball to discuss, and we have a guest. Taylor Rooks joins us later, but we start in Phoenix, where the Lakers, without AD most likely not playing, are going to need something from that man right there, King LeBron James. What sort of production performance they're going to need from LeBron to take the lead in the series?
Got a little light under the sun, under the sun, under the sun. That's what they're going to need from LeBron right there. Head at the rim. Hands above the square. 40. They're going to need Cleveland Cavaliers at Boston Celtics, LeBron. Didn't you say AD wasn't going to play?
Most likely.
CP3 has returned, and he looked really good in the previous game. The number 2 seed is going home. This is going to be a tough journey for the 7th-seeded Lakers, who were a part of the play-in against Steph Curry. This is why 7 or an 8th seed has never won a championship. No room for error. Anthony Davis is going to miss the game, Jacoby. LeBron's going to have to go crazy. It's going to take a 40-point Herculean effort in order for the Lakers to win the next game.
Well, we all know LeBron has it in him, but will his ankle hold him back? They're also going to need contributions from other places, too. They're going to need Schroeder. They're going to need Caruso. And they're going to need their 3 bigs to step up with AD out. They've got Trez, they've got Gasol, and they've got Drummond. But each one of those players has strengths and weaknesses where AD does not. Jalen, as someone who picked the Lakers, I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned about this. No AD means big problems for LeBron James and the Lakers, especially in this pivotal Game 5, where LeBron, like you said, it's going to take a Herculean effort. It's going to take 41 minutes, 40 points for them to win this one. But LeBron James, never count him out. Now, Jalen, time to turn our attention to another series in the West. Last night, late, it was the Jazz beating the Grizzlies, playing that sweet music. Jalen Rose, this one got a little tight at the end, but the Jazz looked good. What do you see from them that was encouraging?
The thing I've seen about the Jazz is they stayed true to character, and it's bombs away from the three-point line as they made 17, shot 50% from 3, and they broke the NBA record this year. And so all of a sudden, you see Conley making them. You see Donovan Mitchell making it, and it's snowball effect, Bogdanovich making threes. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And so for Utah, they're playing in character as they rain threes from all over.
Absolutely. It was a great night for Ja Morant. D'Anthony Melton came in and made some noise, but the Grizzlies just do not have the firepower that the Jazz do. The Jazz go about 9 deep, and everybody not named Rudy Gobert can hit threes. Now, we talked about the injuries to the Lakers. We talked about how this series is kind of flipped around in the Jazz's favor. And Jalen, seemed like a week ago, the West was completely different. Remember, the Clippers were down 0-2, and now they're playing great.
It was all good just a week ago.
And we had LeBron and AD healthy with the Lakers. Right now, the way everything has changed, what teams do you think are in the best position to make a run at the Western Conference Championship?
It's funny what? 7 days can change. How about this, Jacoby? I'm not counting out the Lakers. I, however, believe it's going to be a 7-game series, and they should be able to advance if AD returns. How about Kawhi Leonard and how all of a sudden they were down 2 games. Now they've won 2 games in a row. Luka looks hobbled, and I feel like the Clippers are back in pole position in that series. We just mentioned the Jazz and made sure we acknowledge them. And so for Kawhi and the Lakers, I still think they're on a collision course to ultimately meet in the Western Conference Finals. I'm not dismissing the Jazz. I'm just acknowledging when you put LeBron and AD together, that's top 3 player, top 10 player. When you put Kawhi and Paul George together, that's top 3 player, top 15 player. I'm holding them to their own expectations. Stay tuned.
These series can go anyway. Just before this weekend, the landscape was so different in the West, and now it seems like everything has changed. Another team I'm not going to count out. I'm not going to count out the Suns. They could easily beat this Lakers team, especially if AD is not healthy. I'm not counting out Luka Doncic, who seems like his neck is getting a little bit better with the nerve issues that he's having. Everything is wide open. It seems like every night these series change so dramatically, which is why it is so much fun to watch. Now, Jalen, we had another game last night, this one in the Eastern Conference between the 76ers and the Wizards. The Wizards played well. It wasn't necessarily just Westbrook and Beal last night. They got contributions from Hachimura. Bertans hit some shots. But Jalen, the story of this game is the health of Joel Embiid. What did you see from that injury? What do you expect from him availability-wise moving forward? How will that affect the 76ers?
My brother, to the East. I believe Philadelphia has, since they have 3 games, they will advance if Joel does not return. I anticipate he won't play in the next game. They will win the series. Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, the veterans they have, George Hill, Danny Green. They find a way to advance, and Joel doesn't play again in this series. Long term, they don't win the East clearly without Joel being in the lineup. And this is the 3rd straight year that the Sixers have made the playoffs, and Joel was forced to miss the game due to injury. So yesterday's game, I just want to give credit to Washington because young Gafford was out there balling. So was Lopez. So was Hachimura, as you mentioned. They looked a lot bigger and had a lot more space without Joel in there occupying it, right? And so, again, you want to give them credit for not getting swept, but I feel like the Sixers advance in the next game.
I love the Lopez hook shots so much. It seems like they take 5 seconds. Like he's going to get a 5-second violation just like in the act of shooting, but they go right in and they look good. And I do want to give the Wizards their credit, but Jalen, there's something that happened at the end of this game strategically that I want to get your take on, and that is hack of Ben Simmons. Scotty Brooks went to it, put Ben Simmons on the line. Simmons ended up making half of his free throws while at the end of this game. However, he's shooting 25% for the series. Do you think this will be something that could hinder their advancement as they move on further in the playoffs past this series?
Yes, you're going to need your primary ball handlers to step up to the line and make free throws. And since they've owned this season that Ben's just not going to attempt shots outside of the paint and continue to not attempt threes, the volume of his practice is now down. So when you go to the free throw line, in particular in these series or in this situation, he just has not been shooting from 15 feet enough during the season to where now I think this stresses when you get to the line and you ultimately end up shooting 25% for this series.
Jalen, you know I'm sensitive. I just feel so bad for him. I love Simmons' game so much. He's one of the best defenders in the league. He's a great playmaker. He can guard all positions. But when he walks up to that line, I just want him to succeed so bad. And you can kind of see in his face that he is also a little bit concerned when he steps up and obviously is only shooting 25% from the free throw line for the series. There's a lot more playoff basketball to get to. We have Taylor Rooks coming up later. But Jalen, we have another update on Aaron Rodgers. The latest is the GM of the Packers, Brian Gutekunst, is saying, you know what? We are not trading Aaron Rodgers. It is not going to happen. I don't care if he doesn't show up. I don't care if the receivers don't show up. We are not trading this man. What do you think about the latest from Green Bay?
They're not motivated to do it at this point. It's not going to really change their trajectory as far as they're concerned. He's under contract. They've already got the bargain. He has no guaranteed money left on that deal. And if he doesn't show up to play, they can take some of his money. However, if you're Aaron, you're the athlete. So as long as you're not taking hits or falling on the ground, you're not putting miles on your tires, you're still extending your career. The bottom line, show him the money. When you see a day, when we look down at Adam Schefter reports that Aaron Rodgers got a mega deal, that's when I'll see him in uniform for the Green Bay Packers. Otherwise, I'm anticipating him just not being there and them not trading him.
First of all, he looks like he's having so much fun in Maui. You know, big shout to him. He's like, not only am I not going to show up, I'm going to show up on Instagram in Hawaii. But Jalen, as you mentioned, the OTAs are one thing, but as we start getting to training camp and actual practices and money comes out of his pockets, do you think he will maintain this holdout?
He's going to look at it like it's money he never had, Jacoby, as I mentioned. As long as he's not putting miles on his tires, he's still going to have an opportunity to play a lot longer. Look at Tom Brady, how he's extended his career. So for Aaron Rodgers, it's just about the respect that he wants from the Packers, an organization that he's worked for 15 years, and all of a sudden it seems like they're at an impasse. I don't anticipate he shows up. I know they got 5 national TV games that are in the spotlight. Jordan Love better be ready because he might be out there playing quarterback.
Well, something tells me this won't be the last time that we have an update on the status of Aaron Rodgers. But you know what? Enjoy yourself in Hawaii, my guy. Enjoy yourself out there. Coming up next on Jalen and Jacoby from Pier 17 in the Seaport District of New York City. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby, brought to you by Chase. Jalen, joining us right now, we have insider, journalist, analyst, tastemaker, Taylor Rooks. Thank you so much for taking the time.
It is so good to see you both. Well, it's better to see Jalen because Jacoby likes the Knicks, but I'm just happy to be here with both of you.
I can't wait to instigate that beef. But I must ask you about these fan incidents that have been truly disturbing. I would say that players are being treated like zoo animals, except you don't throw things or spit at them. So what are your thoughts on how this disrespect has been taking place recently?
I just think it's insane that we have to keep talking about it, because it continues to occur. I mean, imagine going to work and you don't know if someone is going to throw something at you, if someone's going to run on the court, if someone is going to spit on you, and fans being inappropriate with players' families as well. So then players really feel helpless, because of the position that their families are in while they're on the court, and there's not much that they can do. I spoke to John Moran about what the fans were saying to his family, and you just feel like, well, what can I do to be there? Because they're there for me, and I can't help them right now because we always, put the athlete in the position of having to be the bigger person when, fans are not really giving them the respect that they deserve. So fans really seeing players as objects and commodities and entertainment. And then when you don't see someone as a whole person, you in turn, treat them that way. So of course, there's a much broader conversation to be had about the dehumanization of athletes in general that we don't really have time for. But there's also some major delusion from fans who think that, a logo is more important than a player. You can think that Kyrie disrespected your logo without thinking the appropriate response to that is throwing a water bottle. So it's a very layered conversation, but I just hope that there is some change that happens so that we don't continue talking about how these fans are just acting ridiculous.
Taylor, that is very well articulated, and I have to do it now. Trae Young is absolutely terrifying. He is ruining my entire playoff experience. Like, this dude shoots from 30 feet, gets to the lane, gets to shoot from 3 feet. He is terrifying to root against. How has he been able to thrive in this Knicks series?
Ooh, Trae Young, game winner, Trae. I mean, listen, I don't know what to tell you. Like, Trae's averaging, 27 points and 10 assists in this series. He is toying with the Knicks defense in the pick and roll. I love it. I mean, but everyone wants to talk about Trae, the defensive liability. Blah, blah, blah. Look, y'all got other stuff to worry about, okay? And the great thing is it's not just Trae. There's Bogdanovic, shooter, Gallinari, shooter. John Collins just had his best game of the season. And I mean, my question for you is, where's Julius Randle? I mean, he's shot under 40% from the field for the fourth straight game. I'm going to need you to figure that out. Where's Julius at?
I thought he turned a corner in game 2. I really thought he turned a corner in game 2. He did not. He did not turn a corner in game 2. I really thought that he was going to come back and thrive, but it has been Trae Young and your Atlanta Hawks that have toyed, as you mentioned, with the Knicks in this series. Jay?
And let's go to the West Coast. What about the Los Angeles Lakers? Anthony Davis is likely to miss the next game with a groin injury. LeBron James is on the road. CP3 has now returned. Do you think the Lakers have what it takes to win this series?
I first want to say I hate AD won't be playing. This series would be nuts if both teams were at full health, because it already has been crazy. But, it's hard to ever discount LeBron James. So I'm not going to say Lakers can't get it done. And AD out obviously means more touches for LeBron. So I actually think that this series goes to 7. I'm gonna go Lakers, I think, but I wouldn't be surprised either way. I mean, injuries are a part of the playoffs. Staying healthy is a part of it. So I just don't like there's going to be this rhetoric of like whoever wins, the other side is going to say, well, so and so wasn't healthy. I mean, that's just kind of how sports works. But I do think that this series goes to 7.
Staying healthy was in the news all this holiday weekend, but it was mental health with Naomi Osaka backing out of the French Open, citing mental health and the sort of wear and tear of the press coverage on her mental health. What was your reaction when she announced this?
I had a mix of reaction. I mean, one of those emotions was sadness. One of them was anger, disappointment that the reaction was what it was. I mean, Naomi Osaka is so brave for what she did. And I think that every person should be allowed to do what Naomi did. All people in all lines of work. You know, if your mental health is being or will be compromised by doing your job that day, you shouldn't have to do it. We really need to change the way that we view mental health and the way that we talk about it, because if she said she couldn't do this because of an ACL injury or a strain or meniscus, whatever, everyone would be incredibly understanding. But because it's something that's invisible, people see it as an inadequate excuse, or people act like because you can't see it, that means it's really there. And it hurts my heart that she even had to explain herself. You know, we should listen to women when women say no. Because women don't owe you yes. No one owes you yes. And if someone tells you something doesn't feel good for them, your reaction should just be empathy. And I hate that the options were, you know, do this at the expense of my mental health and hear all these comments and drive me insane, or don't do it. Like, she shouldn't have been forced to choose. And I hate that this culture that we have created forced her into a choice. And I think that's the conversation that really needs to be had, is why is it this or that? Why can't we accommodate athletes individually based on their needs? Because it's not a monolith. You know, people feel differently about different things, and the approach should be more tailored to them in that way.
Free Naomi, because
Yes.
you said it, there shouldn't be a choice. Like, she didn't surprise us. She let us know that she was dealing with some psychological issues, that she was going to try to come and perform. She showed up in order to try and perform, and they making her choose to whether she can do media interviews or withdraw. Now we actually talking about the French Open because she withdrew. Not because of anything that's actually happening. So this is terrible all the way around. I stand by her. Continue to stay strong, Naomi. I have to ask you one other thing, though, before we let you get out of here. I know how much you love Atlanta. Peace up, A-Town down. And you talked about the Hawks. What's going on with Julio Jones and the Falcons?
Listen. I don't know what's going on, but I wish there was nothing going on. I wish Julio was so happy in Atlanta and wanted to stay. He is one of my favorite Falcons. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think that the Falcons should trade him, but I mean, at this point, it seems like Julio has made his stance incredibly clear on where he wants his future to be, and that is not in Atlanta. But listen, we have Pitts now. We have Calvin Ridley, who's amazing. I think Matt Ryan still has some great football left in him. I think Julio should see how this year goes. He got some more weapons around him, and then maybe make some decisions from there. But Falcons going to be okay. But Julio, if you hear this, please stay. Stay in there.
You said it before. He made his stance clear on the air. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. You can always get exclusive content with our guests on our podcast when we come back. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, you know I like to keep expectations low, especially in my professional life. Well, Pat Mahomes, he doesn't do that. He said that he wants the Chiefs to go 20-0. Jalen, do you love or hate the idea of Pat Mahomes setting the bar at 20-0?
It, because it's the opposite of you. See, he's owning it. They've already won a Super Bowl. They just lost a Super Bowl, and he was injured. And he's looking around, and he still has weapons galore. Plus, they still have him. I like this so very much. Put the league on notice that you're coming back for the kill, Patrick Mahomes. I love it.
Well, I know a couple things. Number one, This dude had me in a clown suit after the Super Bowl. I bet against Tom Brady and for Patrick Mahomes, and they didn't score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and I was in a clown suit. So I'm not gambling for the Chiefs to do anything this season, but I also know this. The 1972 Dolphins will be very upset if they go 20-0. Because I still love the 1972 Dolphins celebrating every time a team gets close and doesn't quite get there. I want to thank Taylor Rooks for coming through. We'll be back tomorrow on ESPN.